To me, heavy music is an absolute release. It's all my frustrations coming out at once. Heavy music is everything I needed it to be when I was a young kid and I had teenage angst and issues and problems and bullshit. And just like everybody else from my fucked up generation because of our incredible parents, I grew up fucking horrible. I'm sure you did too. Did you? I don't know. I shouldn't judge you like that, but maybe I should. So anyway, heavy music to me is an absolute release of all my frustrations of the world around me. That's what heavy music is to me.
Hardcore mean to me? Well, I like, you know, musically, it's just balls to the wall, aggressive. You don't give a fuck about anything, you know. It's fun to play. The lifestyle, I think everyone's gonna have a different answer. Me, I was always, my roots in it, I was always a metalhead first, right? I was more of a thrash guy. I found hardcore later, which is weird because when you think about it, metal and thrash and all that took everything they have from hardcore and punk, right? And that's how it all grows and everything. So I found hardcore later, but to me, it was always like a unifying scene where, now granted, every generation puts a different face and a different set of clothes on it, but you know, for me, it was like, it didn't matter what you looked like. You show up with ripped jeans or no jeans and sneakers that are held together by tape, and you know, it didn't matter what your haircut was or whatever. You were just together going nuts watching these bands and jumping all over each other and singing right along and everything. I think nowadays, you know, the label has taken a different turn, you know, and some bands that I would never consider hardcore are called hardcore. I'm like, okay, whatever. Everything gets a new face with a new generation, right? But that, I think, you know, that's they'll have their definition of it. Me, that's what it is. It's just like cutting loose, you know, at a matinee show or going to your local club and seeing bands that like set up on the floor, and it's just very grassroots, and you all felt like you were supposed to be there, like, and just all going crazy and letting out all this energy together, and then, you know, you forgot about your life for a minute. Forget about the good, the bad, everything, and just was able to cut loose.
I was almost thinking about that walking in here because, you know, I passed like some normal people walking from the bus over here, and I was like, I wonder what these people, they think we're a bunch of dorks or something. Like metal people think they're so hard, and you know, it's supposed to be this hard music, but I think to the general populace, we're a bunch of just weirdos and just misfits, and just I think this anti-establishment is a good term for what metal is to me. I think that really sums it up. It's sort of, you know, like I said, it sort of strains into punk too. Like, you know, I mean, my heroes obviously are, you know, Motorhead, and you know, the metal that Slayer, the metal that really was punk rock in its way, in a way where it wasn't too polished. I don't think of metal as polished music. Like I never liked the hair bands and all that. And when it got into just like straight ahead pop music, pop rock music, which is country and western now, it's like that doesn't mean metal to me. But to the general populace, they're like, yeah, man, that's metal, and it's not. You know, metal is a little ugly. So ugly, anti-establishment subculture.
For me, it's something that helps me go through my life, through my everyday life. It's like when I go to work, when I have dinner with my family, and when I play this music with Aralu, it's always there. It's always something that I do.
Actually, it's the same for me, because I'm listening all the day for this metal music. I start when I'm working in the morning, and until we go to sleep. It's in my headphones, and in my phone, in my car,
on our t-shirts. It's everywhere.
It's our guide. We're making everything around this metal music.
I don't know. It's hard for me to say, like, give a specific thing, because I was pretty much raised on like metal and hardcore. Like, my mom's favorite band is Hatebreed, which is probably a pretty weird thing for most people to say. And my dad, like, I remember seeing Hatebreed and Slayer together when I was 9. So like, it's just kind of something that I can't really define, but to me it's like the only thing I really know. And I feel like a lot of kids take for granted like how many bands are out there now, and how cool it is that you can find things online and just like you could explore so much stuff. So it bums me out when kids like are just doing something for the image of it or for like the popularity of it. So for me, it's like something therapeutic that's like been with me my whole life. So I feel like kids should stop giving a shit in a sense. Like it should just be something that's important to you, that's in your brain, but not something that you're doing for anybody other than you. So that's what it is for me, at least.
Yeah, kind of the same way. Like metal for me has never been about like it has to be perfect and it has to be super polished and whatever. Like you have all these bands now that are like you calling themselves metal bands and they're playing with, you know, all these backing tracks and they're not even
like
playing
practically faking it on stage.
And it's like, if I go to a metal show, I want to see the band fuck up. I want to see, oh, they're playing too fast today. Or that's what you pay for a show for. If I want to hear perfection, I'll listen to the CD. And I don't know. It's always just been about that attitude of like, just hammer through what you're gonna do, get out what you need to get out, and
more like a mindset than specifically a sound or anything like that, and like a release. At least, if that's what I'm getting from what you're saying.
Well, for me, metal is all about escapism, about atmosphere, about escaping from the mundane reality, the daily grind, about taking you to a different world inside your mind, and it's basically a lifestyle.
Growing up, it meant everything to me. It's really hard to pinpoint what actually made me fall into that whole thing, but it's definitely like it's a reaction to everything that is going around me, you know. I don't know.
It's a very difficult question to answer.
It is.
Because it's a big part of you as a person, it's a big part of your soul. You feel it or you don't.
I think the reason we fell into the whole black metal thing was the surroundings in Norway, the nature, all that stuff. We found the kind of music that
there's a connection there.
Yeah, kind of vibrated with the surroundings, and it hit me straight away, and it was perfect basically. So
it's going to be a part of you. It's not like a hype for us. No. It might be for other people, but for us it's not a hype.
It's a lifestyle, definitely.
Yeah. We live and breathe metal, black metal, whatever. This is just a part of us.
Yeah.
It's an escape. It's a release. It's for me, I think it's awesome to have this idea in your head that's just a thought and becomes a physical entity, you know, like a CD or a band or you know, something that people can actually grab onto. And I think it's just really cool to look at like it from a blank canvas perspective and have nothing on and then become something. And I just like the creative side of it. And for me, it's just an escape. Like I said, it's a way to just express myself through my guitar, through our music, and it's cool that people receive my personality in the form of a song or an album or whatever it may be. And that's just kind of what it kind of means to me, I guess, what music does for me.
Heavy music to me is like everything. It's me, it's my life. I'm playing like professionally like 20 years. I'm like playing 25, I guess, overall. Going to concert, doing tours, playing every day, in and out, high voltage amps, guitars, writing music, thinking about it, getting crazy like a kid when Slayer is coming, or there's a big festival, or Ozzy, or Suicidal, or anybody actually. So heavy music to me is like the best part of my life, I guess. Yeah.
To me, music is it's my life force. It's my essence. It's what makes me happy. It's what gets me up every day and gets me moving. You know, I started playing music when I was in like 5th grade. I discovered my love for guitar and just kind of went with it. And you know, one point, you know, back when you're starting high school bands and doing all that, you start to realize, wow, this is what I want to do with my life. There's really nothing else that really makes me happy. And that kind of reflects on my life looking back. I've worked so many jobs, like it's so hard to stay into something that you don't really truly enjoy and are not passionate about. So being able to play music and to go out on the road and you know, to write music and record and do all that, it's everything to me, really. It's you know, what I'm passionate about. You know, I could spend a lifetime working a bunch of jobs that I hate, being miserable, or I could do music and just thrive. You know, that's what it's all about to me. It's just everything. It's what I want to do. I want to share that with people, and that's what I'm doing, and I plan to continue to do it until I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, kind of just to reiterate, you know, what Joe said, like, I mean, I started off, you know, 2-3 years old just banging on pots, you know, and I mean, it just kind of progressed over time from there. Like I did a few things musically when I was like real young, you know, played violin for a little bit and stuff like that, and then I started like to really pick up on drums, and then I really didn't get into band until like high school. Like my band director was actually looking for people because the band was so short. And I wanted to do percussion, and I knew nothing. I didn't know how to read music or anything like that. And he took me under his wing, and I mean, he was a percussion major, so I learned everything I did learn was from him. And I mean, he really set me on that direction and that course, you know.
It's diversity, it's aggression, it's self-expression, whereas you can't really find that anywhere else or in any other type of music. And you know, you see a group of people that are so different and have so many different backgrounds, but we all connect on one universal language, and that's like metal music. And it's phenomenal, and that's what it means to me. It's family, it's strength, it's everything you need to get out.
It is a experience. It's not just music, it's something that you experience throughout your entire body, like your mind, your body, your soul, that whole thing at the same time. Specifically, I really love, I guess, like heavy metal and like hard rock specifically, because it's I don't know, just kind of like overwhelming, but in a good way. It kind of doesn't really leave you a lot of space to like really consider what's happening. You're almost like immersed in the experience as it's happening. Rather than with other art forms, it's like more subtle and you kind of dive into it in different ways. With a lot of the music that I listen to and a lot of the music that we like to play, you really are just kind of like thrown into the middle of like a really beautiful riff, or you're thrown into the middle of like something that's like almost like a wall of sound when you hear it live. So it's not really something that you can like, I don't know, shift away from. It's just kind of like, okay, like I'm in this moment, I'm listening to this music, and like this is all I'm doing. And it's really a genre of music that I've always had a really great time just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like settling into and listening to. And I think specifically with like heavy metal, its origins in blues are really rad, and its origins in, you know, classical music are really amazing. And if you actually listen to the instrumentation in it, like it's really complex stuff. Like it sounds like at first like maybe wall of sound or just something that sounds really funky and cool, but over time it kind of melts and shifts into something that's kind of a thing of all of its own. So that's why I love it.
I mean, when we first started out, you know, even the word doom, we were talking about that the other day, I didn't even ever heard that word before. You know, and even heavy metal back then wasn't really a term. I mean, heavy metal was like Sabbath, you know, Iron Butterfly, all that stuff like that, and then MTV changed the meaning of it in the early 80s there, and then heavy metal turned into how fast you can play. But to me, being heavy is more, it's heavy on your mind. It's not how fast you play. It's anything, it's if it makes you think about something, to me. So all those words mean nothing to me. And I never considered us a metal band anyway. We're just a hard rock band. I grew up listening to the Beatles and the Doors and Deep Purple and all that shit, you know, or Bruce, he was into Richie Blackmore. And so for some reason, with Trouble, my lyrics and his music, they fit together for some reason. I don't know why, you know, it's not, nothing, we never did anything on purpose. We just wrote whatever we felt, and we never tried. You know, I had one time I tried to write, all right, I'm going to write a sex, drugs, and rock and roll song. And I sat there with a month with a blank sheet of paper. I can't do it like this. I got to just write, be yourself. You know, when people ask me for advice, just be yourself and don't do things that you can't do. You know, realize what you're good at and work on that and give your 100% at it. And then most of the time it's pretty good, you know.
In a case like us, and I'm sure you too, that's been loving music like we've been loving music, it stops being a genre, you know? It's no longer a genre, it's a way of living.
It's a way of life. I mean, metal becomes a genre that we might play.
Yeah.
But the influence of what we do comes
which this
from...
band actually steps away from that a lot. We consider ourselves metalheads and we play metal, but our music is also hard rock and
songs,
good, solid
which
stuff.
Comes from...
We want you to leave the show remembering our songs, right? That's what we're trying. So it comes from so early.
Different influences, and like we're talking about, we mentioned reggae.
Yeah.
Music as a whole. Metal to me is a big buffet and salad of every genre in a sense.
To me, it's like what I wake up and I breathe, right? It's the same. It's in me. It runs on my veins. It's different than just a musical genre at all. Far from that. A long time ago, you know, since a kid, you fall in love with that, and that's it. You're hooked. You don't kind of.
But when it gets down to the metal side of things, when you get down to the word metal in music, that's where the aggression and the release comes from, and the stress and the buildup of life, all the hardships that we go through financially with our families, our children, the everyday bullshit that we all have to wake up to and deal with as adults. You know, you get there and fucking chunk on a guitar, hear that fucking pounding drum. Like, to me, that's why I play metal. That's why I'm into music. I take all that and put it into that and able to release it, and that's where it is. That's where my heart and soul is.